Of course, we'll go next to, right next to our conversation, and Kade has this one.
Oh, absolutely. And this conversation is, I think, one that naturally is a very touchy subject when it comes to data, consumer protection, or the use of airtime and the rest. And this is something we want to drill down on. It's Democracy Day, June 12, but these issues still remain. We're joined on the program by a legal practitioner, Mr. Ilemona Onoja, joining us virtually on the program. Welcome to the program.
Hi, Coyote. Hi, everyone.
You know, there are lots of things that I would rather be speaking to with you, right? From politics to maybe sports and other things. But let's just stick to these issues. And you know, a lot of people were, I don't know if they were excited, but they saw the story, reports around the borrowing airtime credit market overhaul in some sense. And they saw names of companies. I didn't even know what was going on with airtime credits and borrowing or credits in itself. But the FCCPC has been speaking. That's the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, distancing itself from reports claiming that it secured presidential approval to sort of open Nigeria's airtime credit markets to 9 new operators. Is that system broken? In that sense, I'm seeing numbers, very interesting numbers, 3 trillion naira worth in that market. But is it broken? What needs to be fixed? What is true? What is not true?
I would start by saying, in the spirit of Democracy Day, I think a part of this conversation is also very important. It comes down to respect for the judiciary and our judicial system as integral to our economy, as integral to our societal structure. We're having this, there's a pending order restraining the FCCPC from doing any sort of licensing or the implementation of the Dion regulations. And the FCCPC, before it announced that it was going to comply with that, and then thereafter has continued to do so in defiance of an order given by a court. If we're speaking Democracy Day, part of the conversation that we must be having must be respect for the rule of law and the ripple effect that that can have on our society, even from a seemingly innocuous, issue. Well, it doesn't seem like it is directly related to the concept of democracy. However, everywhere you go in the world, the concept of democracy can only survive with the existence of a strong and vibrant judiciary that everybody respects. Now, to come to the core issues, the first thing that we must realize is, and we must situate this conversation in the context of where it started, from what was broken that needed to be fixed. FCCPC passed the Dion regulations last year to deal with the illegal operations of these loan shark companies who would loan people money without, a lot of them were not licensed to be financial institutions in the first place, and then who violated all sorts of data protections, violated security protections, was letting people post their details on the internet and along, to family and friends and so on and so forth. That was what the Dion regulations were supposed to address, the proper operations of that sector, if at all. Somewhere along the line, somebody in the FCCPC looked at a sector that was not broken, that was existing competitively, that was adequately licensed and in operation and being supervised in its operation by the NCC, the Nigerian Communications Commission, and then decided to extend the application of the Dion regulations to the operations of this sector, this value, what we call them value-added services. These are the entire data and airtime lending and borrowing operation isn't done by the telcos. It isn't done by the telcos directly. They're a group of companies licensed by the NCC, and I'll say it again, licensed by the NCC, who provide these structures. What they do is that on a daily basis, each company borrows around 200 million naira worth of airtime credits or airtime or data to Nigerians who are in need, Nigerians who quickly need to top up their phones or their data so that they can either make quick calls or access the internet or something. So these value-added services companies provide money to Nigerians to be able to do that on a daily basis. The sector is around 300 to 400 billion naira strong. Forget all this number crunching that we hear from people who have all sorts of funny agendas and who are saying it's a 3 trillion naira economy. It's a sector of the economy. It isn't. It's somewhere around the region of 300 to 400 billion naira strong. Now, what these value-added companies do is that they take the risk on a daily basis, right? Because it is a risk. People might not pay. People might not pay back. People might not pay back on time. They take a risk. They provide services to Nigerians. They provide quick credit to Nigerians, sometimes in the value of up to 200 million naira on a daily basis. Licensed by the NCC. That's the third time I'm saying that. Now, I've looked at
just a quick one. So we don't lose people. You said Dion time and again, just in case you're wondering, Dion is digital, electronic, online, or non-traditional consumer lending regulations, which you refer to. So there was a court pronouncement. We understand it restrained the FCCPC. So are you saying, in essence, that those 9 companies that have been reported to be added to the list are indeed meant to be a part of it? I'm trying to get a clear picture now of where we are, and I appreciate the background. Okay. But where are we right now? What's the role of the FCCPC?
Okay, so let me give you a background. People complained about loan sharks. Yeah? Having complained about loan sharks, FCCPC waded into the matter and said they were going to, implemented the Dion regulations. The Dion regulations, they then extended to the telecommunications sector, right? And they said they were going to apply the Dion regulations to the telecom sector. WASPAN, an association of these value-added services companies, went to court. And on the 15th of April, the court gave an order restraining FCCPC from implementing the Dion regulations, pending the determination of a suit that had been filed before the court. This was on the 15th of April, 2026. Yeah. Now, after this order was given, FCCPC announced that it had used the Dion regulations to license 5 value-added services companies. But an order had been given. It was only on the 15th of May, 1 month later, that the court issued a bench warrant to ask why the order had not been complied with by the FCCPC. Then on the 22nd of May, the FCCPC announced that they were abiding by the order and they were suspending the implementation of the Dion regulations. However, between then and now, they have announced a further 4 companies, totaling 9 companies that they have licensed under the regulations. And my question is, if you're restrained from implementing the Dion regulations, on one hand, you're announcing that, you are respecting the Dion regulations. You are respecting the order of the court.
Yeah.
On one hand. On the other hand, you're still licensing companies under the Dion regulations that you say that you are not implementing.
There you go. And that is the crux of the matter. This is a question now that we will take to the FCCPC, because I imagine this is a beginning of a conversation. But because of our time, we're just exploring this. It's an exploratory conversation. It's something we'll escalate. Can I give you
an additional question?
20 seconds. Yes.
I have looked at Section 17 of the FCCPC Act, the Establishment Act for the FCCPC. It stipulates its powers of regulation and enforcement in totality. Nowhere in that act does it give the FCCPC the licensing power or authority over any sector of the Nigerian economy. Its role is strictly enforcement, regulatory enforcement.
All right, Mr.
There's
Onaja.
no licensing power.
And those are the talking points. Clearly, this is not the end of the conversation, and I imagine that it's something that will still maybe come back to you if we don't come to a resolution. So, but we've been speaking with legal practitioner, Mr. Ilemona Onaja, who's been speaking on this FCCPC's decision regarding the Dion regulation. Thank you for your time, and hopefully in the coming days we'll talk other issues as you're known for. Thank you once again.
Thank you.